is over.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Insiders. So we have another amazing guest for you guys tonight. His name is Jason Baker. Jason, welcome to our show, man. Thank you for coming on. We are so excited to have you.
Yeah, my schedule is pretty booked lately, so I'm glad I was able to squeeze you guys in.
Oh, man. Yeah, he was talking to me in the DMs and saying, yeah, man, I'm so booked up. It's just, I have nothing going on. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you. Crazy stuff, man. So I got to start out because Jeff, myself, and Jody, all of us are like huge horror fans. So I have to start out by, I know you work for Tom Savini. So Tom is a legend in that business. And so I got to ask you, so what's it like working for Tom?
Tom's awesome, man. Short answer. Tom's amazing. He's family, I don't know what I did to, have such a living legend like Tom take me under his wing, but I'm never going to ask. So, no, man, Tom's great. Every day's an adventure. I always joke about, working with Tom is sort of like the story of Pecos Bill, where he tried to lasso the tornado. Yes. That's kind of how I feel hanging out with Tom. He keeps you on your toes, man. And Tom he's wonderful. He's one of the most honest, genuine, heartfelt people I've ever met, and I'm so grateful to have him as my boss and as my mentor and my father figure, and just to have him in my life.
Man,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been weird not seeing him. I see Tom almost every other day, and I've stopped by his house twice and talked to him through his screen, through his glass screen door at an appropriate thing. And we were making Star Trek II Wrath of Khan jokes about the end when Spock's dying and shit. So
oh yes, with the hand on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I was gonna hit him with that. I was gonna hit him with that Midnight Express with the tit on the glass, but I don't think he would have appreciated that. So.
Oh, that's great, dude. Oh my God, love it. When did
I think that would break the social distancing.
You might. Probably. Yeah, you probably would. Yeah, that wouldn't fall under the rules. When did you get started in all this? When did you start in this business? When did you realize that you wanted to do what you're doing?
I've always been a nerd. My birthday's in October, so I'd spend all my birthday money on store blood and fangs and makeup, and always kind of had a little makeup kit. And then found out about Tom's school, and came here, went to a school, moved away. Did a couple of jobs for a few years, ended up working on a TV show for MTV. The TV show ended abruptly. Our lead cast member accidentally killed himself. That was that reality show Buck Wild. Wow. So overnight I was out of a job and homeless. So I moved back in with a buddy of mine up here in Pittsburgh, ran into Tom. Tom needed some help with a few things, and I thought it was going to be like a 1-2 day thing, and here it is 7 years later, and I'm still working for him. So.
Wow, man, that's awesome. Now, did you go to school for any of this stuff, or did you? If so, like, where did you go to? Other than Tom's, obviously, where did you? Growing up, did you know you wanted to do this? Did you go to college for any of it or anything like that, or?
Yeah, I was always like just messing around, learning stuff. Not to date myself, but I grew up before the internet. So
me too, buddy. Don't worry about it. I'm right there with you.
Finding information wasn't as easy as YouTube.com or anything like that. So I remember when I found out that movie blood was made out of corn syrup. I went and like just ruined my parents' kitchen. Stuff like that. So or like just doing stupid stuff, like trying to get like gluing fangs into my mouth with super glue because the like little putty wouldn't work, and then having to go tell my mom that I put super glue in my mouth and now I don't know how to get these fangs out. So just stuff like that. But no, Tom has a school here in Pittsburgh, the Douglas Education Center. It's the Tom Savini Special Makeup Effects Program. And, I did my research. I looked into some schools in LA. I looked into some schools in Vancouver because I'm from Seattle, and just looked around, and Tom's school made the most sense. I think you got the most bang for your buck. It was longer than any of them, and I got a legitimate college degree. So I was like, sweet! I found a loophole into not being a failure. I get to be a college graduate and play with makeup. Yeah, let's fucking do it. So.
Let's go, man.
Yeah, who's the loser now, Mom?
Oh man, that's great.
No, I'm joking. My parents have been extremely supportive of me. I think they just love seeing everything and all the cool stuff we get to do and stuff. So it's great. It's great having a cheering section like that in your corner.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I agree. So were you always a big horror fan? I mean, now you were saying you played with the blood and stuff like that. You bought all that kind of stuff. Were you always into horror even as a kid?
Oh yeah, no, loved horror, science fiction, action. Just I was a nerd, man. Just reading comic books, collecting toys. That kid. What's funny is I tell people all the time I was a fan of Tom's growing up, and I didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And because 3 of my favorite movies growing up were Creepshow, Night of the Living Dead 90, and From Dusk Till Dawn, and I had no idea that Sex Machine had done the effects on Creepshow and directed Night of the Living Dead. So I was like, oh wait, shit, you can. And then that kind of, and just that mindset of Tom just being like, yeah, you can do more than one thing in this industry. You can, you can do all of it. So, having Tom drive that into my head that Tom says all the time, the more you do, the more you get to do, has really resonated with me. So
man, that's amazing. So I like you, same way, man. I was always the nerd in the room too. I collected all that stuff, loved horror films. I started realizing, Tom was out there, I guess, with Friday the 13th, because I'm just a crazy Friday the 13th fan. Yeah, I can't imagine. Did you, now I've seen pictures. Have you been, I'm sure you've been in that studio where he's got all the masks and everything like that, right? That's got to be absolutely amazing.
Oh, Tom's studio?
Yep.
Man, I get mail there. Right?
Do you really?
Up until everything happened, I was there at least a couple times a week. Yeah, we start. What's funny is I always joke with Tom about how I Godfather 3'd his ass. Tom was on the verge of being retired, and then I start helping him, and then all of a sudden we're getting slammed with jobs and work again, and I'm like, nope, you're not done. Get back in here. Sort of that as soon as he thought he was out, I pulled him back in. And so yeah, for the first couple of years, we did everything out of Tom's little private studio in the back of his property. He had a studio for years. I guess the neighborhood they had got gentrified. Business owner came and told him he had 2 weeks to move everything out. And that kind of really shrunk down Tom's business. So he became really particular about, what jobs he could and couldn't do. So, but that's sort of what led to us doing WWE things. So.
Okay. All right. So
do you remember the first mask that you ever made?
Yeah. I think it was a Jason mask. I bought the 99 cent, Rite Aid Jason mask that every one of us has owned at one point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I went home and painted it and put the little red triangle on it and stuff, and just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Yeah, it just kind of went from there.
Man, that's awesome. So you started working with, when did you get, now you just mentioned it, you started working with WWE. How long has that been?
Me personally, it's been 6 years. WrestleMania 30 was the first thing that I ever did with them, and that was with Tom. Tom and Gino Crognali. Gino works for KMB. He's one of the best special makeup artists in the world working right now, does The Walking Dead. But he's he was one of Tom's guys back in the day, did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with Tom and a bunch of other stuff. Now he works with Greg out, for KMB. Tom met Triple H. Triple H wanted the King of Kings crown. and the armor and everything for, I think it was WrestleMania 27 when he came out with all the guys and the armor and everything, and he was all backlit with the shoulder pads and stuff. And so Tom and Gino did that. Cut to 3 years later, they called Tom again. Tom has he's allergic to fiberglass, so he can't work with the materials. It makes him bust out in hives. And I was there helping him with something else, I think like a computer problem or something. And he gets off the phone and he's like, well, fuck. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, oh, Gino can't help me with this Triple H crown. He's in Atlanta doing Walking Dead. And I'm like, well, I can tap fiberglass. I'll help you out. I guess I'll go work for Tom Savini. No big deal. Do special makeup, no big, Say, wait, Tom Savini wants me to come and help him do something for WrestleMania? I'm like, I guess I can pencil you in. And so yeah, we did Triple H's gold crown for WrestleMania 30, and then shortly after that, Charles Robinson, the referee, introduced me to Eric Rowan, and we started doing Rowan's masks, and then it just sort of snowballed from there.
Wow, man, that's awesome.
So
fantastic. That's great, man. So when was it that you got started working with Bray Wyatt?
On all the Fiend stuff.
On either the Fiend stuff or before. Like you said, you mentioned that you worked with Rowan. So were you working with him prior to the Fiend stuff with the Wyatt family?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, we were doing all the sheet masks for Rowan when he was still with the Wyatt family, and then when he went and did the Bludgeon Brothers, we did his Bludgeon Brother masks, and then we did Harper's dog skull mask. We actually did the hammers, the mallets, excuse me. And they were real. Each one weighed like 25 pounds. They were solid wood. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, so yeah, we did Rowan's first couple of masks, and that's when I met Bray. And for years, Bray and I would just kind of talk about doing something together, working. He was like, yeah, I want to do this. And we'd kind of spitball ideas, and then it would just kind of, we'd talk about it, it'd fall off, and then they, or we'd talk about it, and then they'd book him for something else, and then, this, not whatever. And it was about, I want to say August of 2018. That Bray called me, and we started hashing out stuff, just slowly spitballing ideas, working on some puppets, working on some other ideas, and everything just kind of eventually grew from there.
Now, we had Kyle Scarborough on the show recently. So did you guys work with Kyle as well?
Yeah. What it was I think Bray and I were, because Bray's amazing. He's one of the best clients I've ever worked with, and I say that because I would rather have somebody come with me with a million ideas than have a client come with us and be like, just make us a monster. And I'm like, well, what the fuck do you want? They're like, something scary. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really narrow it down. Like, what do you want? Like, we got to make this thing. Like, it's not just, we're not Doctor Strange. We can't just pull it out of, ether. We have to actually sculpt and mold and do all this stuff. So, that's one of the beauties of working with Bray is Bray had ideas and concept arts, and, he'd send me a picture and be like, hey, I like the, I like the skin texture on this picture. I like the teeth on this picture. I love the way this looks. I love the vibe this gives me. And, we would just talk and talk and talk. And, I'd do some sketches, send them over. He'd be like, yeah, we're kind of getting there, and we bounced everything back and forth. And, he was like, well, hey, man, I got this tattoo buddy who does this beautiful art. You mind if I, bring him in? I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it. Whatever. I'm not, I'm a team player. I hate people who, want to hog the limelight. And it's like, oh, it's all me. I'm like, no, man, there's a whole team of people that went behind all this. So, yeah. And then all of a sudden I got this beautiful piece of art back from Kyle, and I'm like, all right, that's it. That's fucking awesome. Kyle nailed it, knocked it out of the park. I think Kyle took what we had been talking about for months and put it on paper. And yeah, so then it just went from there. And then, and then our job really began is, I don't know, have you guys have seen the original concept art, I'm assuming, right?
The drawing that he sent over. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And it's great. It's beautiful, but it's drawn on somebody who's maybe 150, 160 pound,
right.
So, and, you know, and Bray's kind of a larger guy. So we were like, all right, well, we kind of have to, you know, change it up a bit. Because also, you know, there's a lot of logistics that goes into mask making and special effects. Is, you know, you can't, if you make the lips too big or the chin too big, then that adds weight to the mask. And if that adds weight to the mask, then that's more uncomfortable for the wrestler to wear. So all these little, you know, equations kept coming up when we were designing and sculpting and creating the mask. So, so yeah, that's the, you know, sort of why it looks a little different than the concept art.
Yeah, I would imagine you really have to take that into account because he's going to be wrestling wearing it. And that's,
yeah, that's,
kind of a
you know,
new
no,
thing.
I mean, that's the one thing about, you know, doing effects is we always joke, we're like, yeah, you'll get these beautiful concept pieces and it's, you know, nothing against Kyle, he's a phenomenal artist. But then when it comes to us, we're like, all right, here's the blueprint. Now we have to bring this thing to life. How the fuck do we do that?
Right, and make it wearable and durable.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, these guys, they trash everything. You know, they're,
Yeah.
you know, they're fighting in them. They're legitimately, you know, fighting in it. So, you know, we have to make it durable and strong, but yet also light and breathable and, you know, everything like that. So, you know, a lot of equations go into making a mask like that. You know, that was one of the big things. We did a mask for Kalisto a few years ago. And, you know, Kalisto was a totally different style wrestler. He's a luchador.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're like, man, this thing has to be strapped to his head if this guy's doing, you know, doing front flips and, you know, hurricane ranas or whatever the hell they're called off the top ropes and all this stuff. And this thing slips off and he can't see. He can, you know,
Hurt
potentially
himself.
hurt himself or someone else. So, you know, a lot of all that goes into the process behind creating masks and props for wrestlers.
That's awesome, man. Now, did you guys? He filmed the first episodes of the Firefly Funhouse were filmed at Tom's studio as well, right?
We actually shot those. I directed those. We did those here at Tom's, well, the adjoint program to Tom's program here in Pittsburgh at the George Romero filmmaking program.
Okay.
So yeah, I built the sets and we directed them all here. How that kind of came about was the writer who works with Bray on the Firefly Funhouse segments. Eric Rowan and I did a few vignettes a few years ago. Eric Rowan was out with an injury and we were like, well, fuck it, man, let's go shoot some weird, creepy shit in the woods, kill some time, you know, kind of keep you maybe, you know, like, let's go try to keep your character relevant while you're out, you know, let's do some weird stuff. So we just went and shot in one of Rowan's friend's barn, and then we shot in an old abandoned apartment complex here in Pittsburgh, and just, you know, ran around and shot these weird, creepy, you know, horror, you know, as much horror as you can get for $12, you know, little vignettes. And the writer saw him, he really liked him, was like, you know, who's doing this? And it was like, oh, you know, guy doing my mask. So that's how I met the writer. So when we started doing the Firefly Funhouse stuff, I found out that he was involved. So it was like, great, awesome. I already have this relationship with him. I like the guy. Let's, you know. So, but, you know, it really, it's him and Bray. They are the brainchilds of all of it. I just get to, you know, come to the barbecue and tell them to add a little, you know, maybe make a few suggestions here and there, but they're definitely the cooks in the kitchen. So
That's awesome. Did you guys create the puppets as well?
yes, we did.
That's awesome. Wow. That's
So,
amazing. Man. Yeah, and you could tell that now. Are you still, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. So in terms of telling you the storyline, how in depth did Bray get with you in terms of telling you what his thought process was for bringing this to life, and what was your initial thought when he brought all of this to you?
I loved it, man. We would just talk. We just shoot the shit till like 4 a.m. Talk about anything and everything, to where it just became this hodgepodge stitch quilt of ideas, and, you know, kind of just slammed everything in there. You know, and we just kind of went from there. And the beauty too is that, you know, and then when we went to go shoot the Firefly Funhouse stuff, and when we were designing the actual set, the Mr. Rogers set is actually here. The actual Mr. Rogers set is still here in Pittsburgh at one of the museums. So my wife and I, who actually did all the set dressing for the vignettes, we went and looked at it at the museum and hopped the fence and got up really close and took a bunch of reference photos and stuff. And so, yeah, there's definitely a blatant, it's almost an homage to Mr. Rogers.
Oh, absolutely.
There, so
that was one of the first things I said when I saw it. He's like a creepy Mr. Rogers. I love it.
Yeah. So now we always joke about how we've made Bray an honorary Pittsburgher with us doing all this stuff and then shooting the Firefly Funhouse vignettes here, with Mr. Rogers, who's from Pittsburgh influence, plus Code Orange, who does his new theme, is here in Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're like, Bray, you're an honorary Pittsburgher. So
that's awesome. That's incredible, man. So are you now? We all saw that the Firefly Funhouse changed when they got it to, when it started going backstage and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that it's because they're filming that in different locations now. You guys did the originals, but they're doing the stuff now probably backstage WWE, I'm guessing, right?
I can't answer that. I don't know. Like, okay. I'm not back there, so I'm like that question is above my pay grade, man.
I got you.
So
I just was curious if you.
That's a little more inner circle than I know of. So
I gotcha. I guess a better way to phrase it is you guys just shot the first series, right? The series that led up to. Okay.
The first 8 vignettes.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I have a weird question.
Well, I might have a weird answer. What's up?
Does Bray do all the voices?
That I don't know.
Because I can tell he does Abby, and
yeah, I don't. Again, once all the footage goes straight to WWE, WWE puts it together in house. Who, what, when, where, and how is again beyond my pay grade. So that's a question for someone else. I have no idea.
No, it's all good, man. So how many versions of, so it seemed like when we first saw the Fiend, obviously when that episode was that we saw the Fiend for the first time, did the mask change since then? Because, and the reason I'm wondering is because I remember when WWE Shop first had their first mask available that you could have bought. Now it's very different, but it was even almost like flesh toned instead of white. And I remember, you go back and you watch that episode, it almost looked like maybe the mask was a little more flesh toned. So did it go through like changes up to?
No, that's the same one. What happened is the way it was shot and the way it read on camera just looks, the cameras we used just made it look completely different than the TV ones. And yeah, we get asked that all the time. And I don't know why it did that. I don't know what it was. Like, I don't know what filters we had on that changed it up, but it was just, it's just a lighting thing and a camera thing.
Okay. Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah, no, we get asked that a lot too. And I'm just like, it looks, I don't know why it did that, but it did. So.
Yeah, it must have even faked out WWE, man, because when they had their merch come out, it was the first, I actually got one, and it was the very first one that they made, and it was entirely flesh colored. And I'm like, why? I don't really understand why it's flesh colored instead of white, but oh well. I guess that must have fooled them as well on the cameras there.
Yeah. I don't know,
man.
I mean, it's making films and making TV it's interesting, man. Like stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
And then you get the internet involved and people's thoughts and stuff like that. And,
oh man.
Yep. And I'm like, I love a lot of the conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And I'm like, what are you guys on and where do I get some of that? Because your thought, like this thought process is awesome. Like this is like Stanley Kubrick levels of like insane.
The theories and stuff with this character, I know it's crazy. It just.
I mean, and some of them might be true. Again, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just the construction worker, man. I just. Like, we sling the paint in the in the clay. I'm like the blueprint designers are they're over there. So
now I know you were quoted as saying that Bray is like a genius almost, and we've heard this from Kyle as well. So can you tell me more about him? I mean, I know he said he just fired all these ideas at you and stuff like that, but what made you think that hey, this guy is really something else?
He's educated, man. He's very smart. You know, he knows his shit. You know, he's very educated in art, philosophy, psychology, human emotion, stuff like that. You know, the guy is very, very knowledgeable about things that interest him and passion, you know, and that he's passionate about. You know I've said it before in previous interviews, like I've been lucky enough to work with, you know, some of the biggest and best actors in the world, and I haven't seen any of them bring the intensity to a character like Bray does.
Wow.
You know, the only person I can think of that I've worked with that probably brings as much intensity to their role is Tom Hardy. Like, he brings like Tom Hardy levels of intensity to his performance. You know, and it's just to go out there and give that kind of performance in front of a live audience, and it's not even a live audience, you know, it's 20,000 drunk, raging hillbillies. It's, you know, and I love them. I don't, you know, that's, maybe hillbillies isn't the proper word, but you know what I mean? I'm like, you've been to wrestling shows. It's, you know, the whats and the boos and the everything. And I'm like, I don't know how you keep a straight face, man. I couldn't do it. So,
man, that's crazy. So I got to ask you, man. I mean, you just mentioned the other, you know, all these other people that you got to work with. Tom Hardy. Who are some of the actors that you've worked with over the years?
Man, right off the top of my head. Yeah, like Tom Hardy, did a movie with him here in Pittsburgh. Did 2 movies with him. Did Warrior and Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, nice.
Worked on Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise. Did Unstoppable with Denzel Washington and Chris Pine. What else? Foxcatcher with Channing Tatum and Steve Carell. You know, those are the ones that are just kind of popping off my head. So, but yeah, you know,
Wow.
but yeah, our big, lately it's been a lot of WWE with a few films and a couple other projects worked in, you know. We just did Corey Taylor's new mask for the new Slipknot album last year as well, with everything else going on, and that was a blast. We just did Code Orange's new album cover with them, and that was an absolute treat. Yeah, we've done more than just props and stuff. You know, Tom and I turned both Sasha and Kevin Owens into zombies for WWE for their action figure line a couple years ago.
Oh, the figures.
Huh.
That's cool.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So now you mentioned Greg before. Was that Greg Nicotero you were talking about?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I kind of thought so. Yeah. I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead too, and Nicotero's done some amazing stuff.
Yeah, no, he's a genius, man. He's one of the nicest people you could ever meet too. Very down to earth.
He seems like it. I've seen interviews and stuff with him, you know, after Walking Dead, they have that little talk show that they have on, and he's on there a lot, and he seems like he's a really nice dude. So
yeah, no, he's great. I mean, anytime he's back here in Pittsburgh, he'll usually, you know, him and Tom and I will go grab a bite or at least come over to the studio and hang out for a minute or something. So
that's awesome.
no, I've been lucky enough to get to know him pretty well over the years. So, you know, again, thanks to Tom.
Man, oh man.
So
I was saying I got to get Tom. If they ever release the rights from lawsuit hell for Friday the 13th, man, I got to get you guys need to really work on a new Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucked, man. You know, like I was lucky enough to I got to help Tom a little bit on the video game, and that was such a blast. And then all that legal stuff happened, and I think it just kind of killed the buzz. And,
oh man.
you know, I think it just kind of killed I think they weren't allowed to do any more DLCs or anything like that, or new maps, or I mean, that's kind of what I've gathered. I'm not, you know, I don't have any inside information on it, but
yeah, no, that was exactly it. I played that since it came out. I still do. I mean, but the game kind of, obviously with no new content or anything like that, it kind of died off. But it was really like incredible as to the detail of that and the pictures that they got from the actual movie and the, you know, where you were running around. They got everything down to the smallest detail for that. So, I loved it. I was really sad when that happened. So.
Yeah, it was really heartbreaking. I remember Tom and I joking about how that was one of the probably the most funnest thing we've worked on in a very long time, because Tom came up with all the kills, and you know, he'd kind of bounce them off me, and I'd throw a few ideas in here and there, and you know, he wrote out all these kills, and we, you know, kind of pitch them. And when you're doing that, you know, when you're coming up with ideas for a movie, by the time you actually see it in the movie, you're like, okay, you've come up with the idea, you've built everything, you've shot it on set, you've seen it edited, you've seen it. So by the time you see it in the movie, it's kind of, the taste of it's kind of worn off, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Mhm.
But with the game, it was great because we just scribbled down some ideas. You know, Tom just scribbled down ideas. We sent them over, and then like 6 weeks later, we got this beta video, and it's Kane just bludgeoningly murdering the shit out of people, and you're like,
yep.
"Oh my god, that is so violent!" It's like, what kind of sick fuck came up with that? And we're like, "Oh wait, you did."
We did.
Yeah. So.
Oh, the kid.
That was fun.
The game was amazing. The game's amazing. The kills in the game are amazing. And I remember I watched a lot of the video of him of Kane Hodder doing those.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting Kane too. And he actually, every time he takes a picture of you, he like,
did he choke you?
out. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was the most frightening thing ever. And he actually told me he was going to do it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just standing there. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, he's just going to put his hand on my neck. No, he like literally grips your neck when he does that.
Yeah,
like,
I think he's passed out a fan or two.
I wouldn't doubt it. He squeezed us pretty hard, man.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, he does give you a warning, so it's kind of on you.
Yes, he does.
You know, it's like he does kind of give you that legal loophole. It's like
I got a picture in that same convention with Tom as well, which was amazing.
What show was that?
He was up here I live in Northeast PA, so he was at a place in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Oh, was that the Mr. Scarecrow? Or
that's it, Mr. Scary or something. Yeah. It
was like at a hotel or something.
Yes, it's the Woodlands Hotel in Wilkes-Barre, PA. Yeah. No,
I stopped by that show on the way. I was passing through on the way to New Jersey and stopped by and saw Tom, and I was like, what is this place? This place
it was a very unusual place for them to have. They have stuff in there, but like it was kind of like a fancier hotel, I guess. But
it looked like almost like a rehab center or something.
It's a very weird place to have a horror convention. But when I heard about it, I'm like, oh, I have to get up there because I have a copy of. There's a big coffee table book for Friday the 13th that they made some years back. It's called Crystal Lake Memories.
Yeah.
And I had a copy of it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm taking it with me. And I'm going to see if I can get them to sign it. So I did. I got Kane's signature. I got Tom's signature on the book cover. So I was absolutely thrilled. But when I heard that they were going to be there, I was shocked, number one, that they were coming there. And number two, I had to get there like ASAP. So, but yeah, it was actually amazing. Tom was super nice. Very, very quiet. He was kind of very soft spoken when he was there. But yeah, man, what a time. That was an incredible time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, I think one of the biggest misconceptions people have about Tom is he's definitely an introvert. He thinks before he talks.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people mistake his quietness for rudeness.
Yeah, that could be, but he wasn't at all. Just like you said, very quiet. Yeah.
He's great, man. I don't know who's cereal bowl Tom Piston on the internet to get everybody to fucking hate him, but he's one of the sweetest people I've ever met. So,
oh man,
I just spent the last 7 years making a documentary about him. So,
yeah, I was just going to ask you about that next because I know I saw you tweeted out about the documentary, and I know it's on Shudder. And I know you had asked people to vote for it. I know we threw some votes on it and stuff like that for it. So yeah, when did you start doing the documentary?
Again, we started it about first time I ever worked for Tom. He hired me for a project. He was doing a short film, and I'd kind of seen the stuff online and heard rumors. I was like, oh, Tom's a dick, yada yada yada, whatever. And I'm like, oh great, this is gonna, but he's also Tom Savini. I'll take the job. And I got there, and he was one of the nicest people I could ever meet. And I'm like, who the fuck? Is this the guy? How is this the same guy they're talking about on the internet? This dude is like nothing but nice. And, he treated everybody just absolutely wonderful and sweet and utmost professional. And what it was is we were shooting nights, and Tom and I were the only two who couldn't really sleep during the day. So, like, I'd wake up, and Tom would be up, and we'd kind of just shoot the shit and talk. And he'd tell me some stories and everything, and I just couldn't get those stories out of my head. And I'm like, man, this guy's got a really bad rep. He's a wonderful dude. plus and then you find out that Tom, he's a single dad, and on top of, being an effects icon. So I'm like, dude, I want to tell this story. And so that's kind of how it came to be. And, I didn't know it was going to take me 7 years of my life to complete.
Wow.
But that's just what happens when you do a documentary. And, but it would be stuff like, we'd shoot an interview with Tom, and then Tom would, we'd wrap up, be driving back home. Tom would call me and be like, oh man, I totally forgot to mention this thing that happened to me when I was a kid. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's kind of really important. I'm like, can we come back or can we shoot tomorrow? He's like, no. He's like, well, I got to go out of town. They go do this thing, but we can shoot when I get back. I'm like, great. Well, he's like, well, I got to go do Machete Kills, but I'll be back in 6 weeks. I'm like, well, fuck, all right. Well, then I'll see you in 6 weeks, or we'd get a hold of, we heard back from Alice Cooper, and Alice Cooper was like, oh my God, we love Tom. We have to be in this film. Alice will be available in August. And you're like, well, it's January. So, what are you going to do? And so it was a lot of that, it was a lot of, Tom's friends and people being very supportive, but also at the same time, it's like, we don't have the money to ask these people to turn down jobs to come in, to be in our documentary. So you kind of got to work around everyone's schedule. So that was the big drawback and what took so long. But, I'm proud of it, I'm grateful for my crew and everybody that stuck it out with me and helped me get it done. I couldn't have done it without all the awesome people like, Mitch Cleaver, our DP, and Aaron Shelton, our post-production supervisor, Andy Westfall and Bob Tunnell, and Rob Lucas, our producers. Just a bunch of wonderful people that just, supported us through the whole thing. And again, back to Greg Nicotero. Greg Nicotero was the one who didn't even tell us about it and took it to Shudder, on our behalf. And he called kind of called us out of the blue and was like, hey man, I took your doc to Shudder. Shudder wants it. We're like, yeah, thanks. Jesus Christ. Sure. I was like, so again, just going to show how wonderful of a person Greg Nicotero is.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely phenomenal documentary.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't want to, when I originally pitched the idea to Tom, I told him, I was like, I don't want to make some movie about how you threw blood all over the Monroeville Mall. I want to tell the story about the guy who threw blood all over the mall and then went home and made sure his daughter was up and ready for school. That's the story that really intrigued me. And doing it all out of it, a lot of it out of his basement in Pittsburgh, just in Romero, and these guys just run around making these iconic films together. So.
Yeah, I know Jeff was telling me about it. He had mentioned it, and yeah, he just said, he told me how great it is. I have to check it out. I have not gotten to see it yet. I didn't get Shudder, but I'm going to now that obviously we are stuck in a house and have nothing to do. So it's amazing.
Yeah. Man, my quality of entertainment is so low. I will watch anything.
Oh man, you know what? And now I was just saying earlier today to my wife that it's like now all my shows are ending too. Like you always have kind of a schedule. You'll watch up until now these are ending. Now you got the summer stuff coming, and now there's nothing. So it's it's going to get tougher and tougher to find actual stuff to see. But there's always stuff out there. You just have to know where to look. So. Yeah. I got to ask you, man. So we ask this every time someone comes on here and talks about Bray and the Fiend character and all that stuff. And obviously you're a horror. So what's your favorite horror movie?
Oh man, I don't think I can choose just one.
We get that too. Well, you can give us a couple. I know that's a hard question.
Man, see, that's the thing. I feel like if I don't say a Tom movie, then I'm a traitor. But if I do say a Tom movie, then I'm a kiss ass.
Yeah, so between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
So do one of each.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do my favorite non-Tom horror movie, and then my favorite Tom horror. So my favorite non-Tom horror off the top of my head is probably American Werewolf in London.
Oh, nice.
Again, best werewolf transformation in cinema history.
Yep.
Absolutely just love the movie. Think it's great. It's fun. I can watch it over and over again. Never get sick of it. Alien, again, another one. Never get sick of Alien. Huge Godzilla fan, but I never really considered Godzilla as horror.
Yeah.
I know he's like he's definitely part of like the horror family, but I'm like, kind of more you file you away in sci-fi more than anything.
Yeah, they call those what? Just well, they were always kind of like monster movies to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, that Exorcist is still scary as fuck every time I watch it.
I will not. I told these guys that movie ruined me. I watched that thing I think when I was about 8, and I'm like, yep, nope. I was done, and I said to these guys, like, they added that scene where she spider walks down the steps. I'm like, nope, absolutely not. Am I not watching? No way, no how.
Yeah, I thought I was like almost not afraid of it, and then I watched like the brand new Blu-ray in Tom's home theater with him with surround sound.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck that movie with surround sound. It's just like I mean, like, kudos to whoever mixed it, because it is like, you think you're hearing stuff like 30 yards away, and it's just nope.
Nope.
It ruined me when I was younger. I'm absolutely petrified of clowns.
Yeah.
Oh man. I can't. Nope. I draw the line at demonic possession stuff. I can watch almost anything, and I can watch gore. I can watch, I'm a big slasher movie fan. I can watch just about anything. Demonic stuff, nope. That's where I draw the line, and I think Exorcist did that. Exorcist and the original Amityville Horror, I think I saw when I was very young as well. So both of them both of them just kind of freaked me out. So what's the Tom
and
movie?
Dude, Jake Brolin is so good in that movie.
Oh, he is
everybody
great.
forgets how good he is in that movie. I'm like,
absolutely great. He was creepy as hell. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree.
No, I mean, I'm like, dude, in that remake, I'm like, I couldn't. I'm like, you watch that remake, and I'm like, sorry, I didn't hear Ryan Reynolds talking. I was too busy staring at his abs. You're like, wait, like, why are you like, what fucking stepdad in 1979 is that shredded?
Yes,
That's the most unrealistic part of that remake was Ryan Reynolds' abs.
What do you think of all these remakes, man? Like, I mean, I think it's Hollywood. I think it's the economy.
Yep. I think it's people. I get it. I hate that it's happening, but from an economic standpoint, it makes sense. It's the same thing. Like, everything is either a book or a comic book or an old TV show or a remake. It's everybody wants to they want to make sure that their investment is going to be a surefire hit. So that's why they're only investing in projects that come with a built-in audience. Unfortunately, what that does for us is that gives us nothing new, nothing fun and exciting and, and original, and I think that, I think that's why the 80s is still the best genre, the best decade of horror. People were just throwing money, at anything. They're just like, yeah, sure, here, go make Chopping Mall or fucking Chud or, whatever the hell you want. And those movies are awesome. I fucking love them. They're great. But, I'm like, Chopping Mall couldn't get made today.
No.
No.
So.
I love the 80s horror. I was just talking to Jeff again the other day too about, I said I love the movies from like the late 70s even into early 80s, because there was some really good like stuff that, again, some of them are on Shudder. I know I was talking to him about a movie called Tourist Trap. The late 70s, which was creepy as hell. And then I remember talking to him about a movie called The Car, which essentially was Jaws turned into a car. And they made it into a demonically possessed vehicle. But they actually made a car too, which I had no idea. A friend of mine told me, he's like, you got to check it out. It's on Netflix. So I watched it, and oh, dude, it was completely changed plot. The only thing that they had is one actor from the original in the new one, and then they tried to make the car kind of look like the one from the original movie.
So they took a Troll 2 route.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, it was
with the deep cut reference.
Yes. It was really, really bad. It had like elements of sci-fi almost, and it was awful.
God bless him. That's like, I didn't even know that. I think I found this out like 2 weeks ago. There was a sequel to Henry, the Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh, no kidding. No, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I was like, what?
Oh, man.
I was like, I kind of thought everything that needed to be said about Henry was said in part 1. I don't need
Yes.
another movie of this. We're good.
Oh, man.
So,
That's incredible. I can imagine that. That's why I wanted to ask you that question, because I can imagine that must be frustrating. And like you were saying, when you don't, when you're just kind of remaking stuff. And I mean, I'm sure, they come to you for that as well, even though, yeah, we're remaking something, but, we need you guys to make masks or make stuff for us anyway. It's going to look similar maybe to the original, but not exactly the same. But it's got to be frustrating when, like you said, you're not seeing new ideas coming in. And that's kind of what I think a lot about Hollywood in general is that, where's the new stuff?
yeah, I think that's, again, you got to look underground. You got to support your independent filmmakers, your, stuff like that. Also one of the things I love, I'm digging foreign films. I finally just watched Train to Busan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but I'm like, dude, that's one of the best zombie movies I've seen since like 28 Days Later.
Really? Wow.
Oh, check it out. It's fucking amazing. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I miss the old days. I miss when, I miss the little movie that could. I miss box art. I miss, I was just talking about that with my wife, is that right out of high school, she worked at a video store, and I'm like, I miss box art. Especially horror box art. Like, you'd go into the horror section and you'd be like, dude, I don't know what the fuck a chud is, but we're about to find out. Like, like there's a hand coming out of a sewer. I'm sold. So.
I remember. Oh, I love that too, dude. I love going to a video store and you walk around and you see. I think certain movies from the '80s I would never have watched. Like you mentioned, I never would have watched the movie Phantasm unless I saw the box art for it. Because you see that ball with the knife coming out of it, and then you see was his name Angus? I don't even remember what the actor's name was. I know he passed away.
Oh, Angus Scrim. Yeah.
Angus Scrim, yes. And then you see him on the cover, and I'm like, what is that? And I remember renting a lot of stuff for that reason, because I never would have known what the movies were. And
Dude,
I
some
agree,
of them
man.
had like, dude, the box art for the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Do you guys remember like the actual? Those were pieces of art, and I'm like, like this art is not deserving of this movie. I'm like, Freddy Krueger turns the guy into a motorcycle. Doesn't deserve this beautiful piece of art.
Yep. Yeah, the movie, and they came from movie posters, most of them. So the movie posters were amazing. I remember that too when I was a young kid, going to drive-ins locally here. And when you'd walk into those, first of all, if you've never been to a drive-in, the places you went for concession stand at a drive-in were creepy as hell anyway, because it was almost like in a long garage that you'd walk into, and you'd go down the steps and go into this long cement, basically tunnel, and they had all the movie posters hanging up in there. So a lot of times when I'm going in there, I'm probably 10, 11 years old, going through these hallways, seeing these posters for horror films, and you're like, it's like, what the hell is this? And but yeah, the artwork was amazing. I agree, great. Man. I agree.
Yeah, they still actually have there's a drive-in just outside of Pittsburgh, and they do one in April and in September. They do 4 movies each night of nothing but horror, and you get to camp out. So like, every time Tom and I go, and Doug Bradley lives around here, he'll show up sometimes and hang out.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so they show 4 movies each night, and they're all just like old, either slashers or classic, Creature from the Black Lagoon and stuff. And you just hang out and watch horror movies with all your fans, or your friends, and then go sleep in your tent, get up, hang out, and do it all over again the next day.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's like it's the closest thing I get to like an actual vacation every year. So.
I've been saying to everybody that I'm going to actually take a ride up to, because it's not really that far away from me, to Blairstown, New Jersey, where they actually filmed, I guess, parts of the first Friday the 13th. The town still is the same.
And what's that? Camp Nobisco? I know.
Nobi Bosco, I think it's called.
Yeah,
or something
I always,
like that.
I always say it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just put a gate. When was it? In October, my wife and I were coming back from New York, and we went through there. And they put a gate now with the, you used to be able to drive all the way in and go to the actual campground and stuff, and they put a gate right at the road. So, because I think they started renting it out and doing the camp, like, and they do the big Friday the 13th thing. Like, I know Tom just went and did one a few months ago. Like, it was him and Tasso and a couple other people. Yeah, and I'm like, that's pretty rad.
Yeah, they had some of the they actually have a ticket lottery for it now, where you put your email in and they just pick you, and then if you get picked, obviously you can buy the tickets to go. But yeah, they had some of the actresses from the film there. I know Tom had gone to the last one, but yeah, apparently one of them, they actually had a screen displayed right out on the beach of the movie Crystal Lake, and you actually sat down on the beach or beyond the beach and actually watched the film.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, I was like, wow, that's awesome. I would just love to go see it, because being the fan that I am, I just love to actually see it. But yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, they do that here in Pittsburgh every year at the Monroeville Mall, where they film Dawn of the Dead. They have Living Dead Weekend. And yeah, so you just walk in and there's just zombies everywhere.
Oh,
So they'll give you tours of like all the filming locations and everything like that. It's pretty cool. So.
Oh man. So
you guys get to do all the fun stuff. All I do is go to work and do schoolwork.
Oh man. So where do you, I mean, the horror genre kind of picked up a bit the last few years. I mean, I think maybe Stephen King's It might have given it kind of a boost. Not that it ever went away, but I think that may have boosted it a little bit. And then you kind of started to see, I know we saw another Halloween sequel that came out a couple of years ago, which I think there's another one coming out this year. So, which John Carpenter got back involved with. So, I mean, do you think the future's bright for the genre? Do you think that, that you're always going to have it?
Absolutely, and especially, when you see people, the thing I love is I love seeing, because being a horror fan growing up, you're always that weird kid. You were always kind of that, like, trench coat mafia in training sort of, just to date my references to show how old I am. You're that kid. And, today, like, I love that horror is becoming more socially acceptable, and especially, you got people like Peter Jackson who are openly, huge horror fans.
Yeah.
You got guys, you got Guillermo del Toro winning Best Picture with Shape of Water, who is like the biggest, the movie is, it's a Creature from the Black Lagoon sequel, where you just couldn't get the licensing rights to the creature.
Yeah.
Again, back to Bray, bands like, and I think, bands like Slipknot and stuff like that, they're bigger than ever. So I definitely think there's a huge influence of horror in the mainstream, and, and I love, I know a lot of people don't like them, but like Blumhouse and those guys, I love what they're doing. I love that. Yeah. I love that Blumhouse has become essentially, they're the American Hammer films. Right now, they're taking these little scripts and they're, putting money into them, and they're making these hits. And also, I think they're giving a lot of up and coming directors, chances that a lot of people might not, even people like Jordan Peele. I'm like, dude, how could he have not gone to any studio and had Get Out made? Yep. It was Blumhouse that, took the risk on him. And that movie was fucking amazing. It's one of the most original horror films to come out in 20 years, if not longer. So, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get back to the slasher-esque or, the fun of the 80s, but, we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. I was surprised at the Halloween film. I mean, I was skeptical of it because I'm like, okay, they're kind of cutting all the sequels out and they're going to do it 40 years after the original, but I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was done well.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, the guys who wrote the story and obviously with Carpenter involved in the music and everything like that, I actually thought it was pretty good. So, I mean, I think there's an audience out there for it. I just think that, maybe it'll come. I mean, it seems like everything comes back around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and the other beautiful thing too is that horror is alive more than it's ever been on the small screen.
That's true.
I'm like, you look at Walking Dead, I don't know if it still is, but at one point that show was the biggest show in the world.
Yep.
And I'm like, people that like, like my sister-in-law, who I don't even think she's ever even seen a horror movie, will be in front of her television every Sunday night at like 8:59 to watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You know, like things like American Horror Story, Castle Rock.
I love American Horror Story.
Yeah, it's been awesome. You know, my wife and I went to when we did Harper's Mask for WrestleMania a couple years ago when it was in New Orleans. Had to go down and test fit it on him, you know, do last looks and all that jazz. But we went and checked out all the filming locations from American Horror Story while we were down there. So, you know, yeah, and you know, Greg bringing back Creepshow, you know, on Shudder, stuff like that. I think, you know, Nosferatu, Lock and Key, you know, even Sci-Fi had like Z Nation and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
so I definitely think horror has a new home on television, and you know that, and you know the internet is a beautiful place. You know, I love seeing, you know, people who can't find distribution for their films, they'll just throw it up on YouTube, or you know, they can go and make a short and, you know, get it out more than you ever could. So you know, I definitely think it's alive and well.
Yeah, no, I that's a great point. I fan films and stuff like that are out there. Some of them are really, really good. Yeah, that's a great point. So obviously we know everything's on hold. Are you guys still working with WWE today? You know, going forward, or is that kind of just you know, come as you go type of thing?
I mean, everything is, you know, on hold right now.
Right.
We did a little bit with it worked WrestleMania and helped out with the Firefly Funhouse match.
Oh, okay.
And but yeah, then, you know, and I'm like, dude, I know a lot of people, I saw a lot of people give WWE flack for, you know, doing the show behind closed doors and all this stuff, and I'm like, I applaud them. This is just me talking. I think it was great. I think it was awesome. I think, you know, I think that was the first thing I'd watched in 3 weeks that didn't have either Trump or coronavirus at the bottom of it.
Yes.
You know, and
hard to get away from that.
Yeah, and I'm so, you know, like, again, everything. I think within 2 days, all the jobs we had lined up, everything went bye-bye. Just halted, came to a screeching halt. You know, if it wasn't for, you know, for Bray, you know, insisting to WWE that I come and work on the match with him, I would have been in a really horrible financial situation right now. So I am so grateful for WrestleMania. I'm so, you know, beyond grateful for Bray. I'm so grateful for WWE, for all the amazing opportunities that they've given, you know, our company, me, myself, Tom, everybody that works for us. So yeah, you know, that's sort of where we're at. And hopefully when everything starts up again, we'll get to do some more fun stuff. But, you know, it's, right now there's shit going on.
Oh, it's horrible.
So,
I know. Now, did you actually go, so you went out to the Performance Center and worked on the Funhouse match with them there, or was that filmed at a different place?
I had to sign a non-disclosure.
If you can't talk about it, no, that's fine. That's perfectly,
perfectly you know, I'll tell you guys that I was involved with it. I can't go into like details on the magnitude and everything like that.
Nope.
And again, back to what I said before, I'm like, look, man, you know, there's other people who are, you know, Bray and the writers. It's all them. I just, you know, I get to add a little flavor here and there, and I'm more than grateful. You know, they're the real chefs. You know, I get to add a little parsley to the plate when it's all done. You know, so
you had the garnish.
I garnish it like a motherfucker though.
The really cool garnish that goes on.
Yeah, the plate. I'm that guy that comes through with the napkin and wipes all the, you know, the drips off to make it look pretty. But they're the ones slaving in the kitchen. So.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So Jason was the. Go ahead, Jody. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So is that still pretty surreal for you? Like, not just with Bray, but with other stuff that you've designed, to then see it on a screen, and you know,
it's fucking nuts. You know, I'll be the first one to admit I love it. You know, I have a lot of the stuff we've done for WWE, they've done on, you know, as action figures, and you know, it's really cool. It's cool to like walk through. You know, I'll be walking through a Target, and all of a sudden I'll like see something I made and like as a 6-inch little figure, and I'm like, oh shit, that's really cool.
I did that.
Yeah.
Well, now
one of the
you've
big-
got, you've got the Fiend belt, which I bought for my birthday, by the way.
Oh wow. Very cool. Yeah, we did those. That was fun. That was interesting. So yeah, again, I never. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you guys worked on the lamp too, right?
Yeah, we did do the lantern.
Okay.
Yeah, that was fun. We again, just like the mask, Bray and I talked about it, came up with some ideas. He sent it over to Kyle. Kyle came back with this beautiful concept art. But we, one of the big things we did, if you look at the lantern compared to Kyle's concept art, is we sewed the eyes shut because of the inner logistics of the lamp. Like we weren't going to be able to get light coming out through the eyes. It just wouldn't make sense. So we made an executive decision to change that. But also the other thing too is if you look at the lantern, the jaw is slack.
Yes.
It slacks to the side, and that was actually Tom's suggestion because Tom, the big thing that Tom always drives into our head is anatomical correctness. And when people die, it's not like in the movies, people don't shut their mouths. Your mouth is your jaw is a muscle. When you die, your muscles go slack. Something that Tom experienced firsthand being a combat photographer in Vietnam. So he always drives that home with us that when people die, they, if they die and their heads laying upside down, they make smiles. If they, people die with their eyes open, people die with grins and smirks and all this weird stuff. And, Tom has all these, has a whole library of like anatomical correctness books of, death and this and that. So we're always trying to bring as much realism in everything to anything we're working on. So that was one of the big things, is that we definitely want to make sure that it adds a little bit of the jaw slacks a little bit more.
Wow, that's awesome. Jeff, what did you have? I know you. You're up. Go ahead.
I don't think a lot of people know is in part of the dreads are actually Bray's real hair on the lantern.
Oh wow.
Did not know that.
Because when he used to have he had all of his dreads and then he shaved his head, he did the undercut. We kept those. I had him, the barber, keep them, and he shipped them to us, and we actually worked them into the lantern. So a lot of them they're Bray's real hair. So
wow.
I mean, because you can't beat the real thing,
right?
So
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Jeff, I know you had something. What was your question, bud, man? Sorry we cut you off there.
No problem. I just had a question about the mask from WrestleMania 36. It looked a little bit different, but you're saying that most of that was probably just lighting and how they shot it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, sorry, you guys are the first people besides my wife I've talked to in 3 weeks. I'm like, this is.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm like, it's like the Jungle Book or Tarzan when they bring him back into society. I'm like,
yeah, I know,
weirded
right?
out. But no, yeah, that's the same one he's worn since day one. I think it was the way it was lit and the way it was edited. So.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, because to the fans, it definitely looks darker.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, I guess, if you're talking about being shot. So I guess that makes total sense, because if you go, back to my prior question, you go back to the beginning and the way it was shot, and if it was the same one all the time, then obviously, you can pull stuff off like that just by shooting it differently. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's crazy. How many of the lanterns were there? Because people go ahead.
There's only one in existence.
Wow, no kidding. I kind of figured because you would not see him. He wouldn't have that everywhere. He would only, it only seemed like he'd bring it to certain matches. And then when he did like dark matches and that, and you'd see him on YouTube, he'd come out with the old lantern in his hand. He wouldn't have that one. So we had people in our community actually were wondering, like, is that something that doesn't travel everywhere and just goes to certain spots? I'm guessing that's probably what it is.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
That's a WWE question. We just there's only one, and it's the one that has his real hair. So
wow, man, that's crazy. Well, there you go. We learned that that's his real hair on the lanyard. That's on the tape.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, listen, man, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on with us tonight. I loved all the stuff I love to hear about anything horror, and especially, again, from somebody who works for, the guy that is the horror genius. Absolutely love to hear everything from you. So before we get going, so tell all of the listeners out there where they can find you on social media, or if you have anything else going on, let them know.
Yeah, nothing really going on right now.
Right,
but, yeah. I mean, talk to me in 4 months. Hopefully I'll have something. But yeah, no, my handles are the same for everything. It's at Baking Jason.
Cool. And that's and the
that's
documentary
Twitter and Instagram, and yeah, my documentary is called Smoke and Mirrors: The Story of Tom Savini. It's on Shudder now. Should be out on DVD and Blu-ray hopefully sometime in the next couple of months. Working on all the ins and outs of the distribution deal and going from there.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, hey, I thank you so much for joining us. Man, I had a blast. And
yeah, sorry we talked about everything except for Bray Wyatt on your Bray Wyatt podcast.
Oh man, yeah. You're good, man. It's all good. Again, we really appreciate anything. We understand. I mean, there's sometimes just things you can't talk about, and that's perfectly fine. So, but no, we had a blast. You answered all of our questions, and I absolutely loved it, man. So,
yeah, well, thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
It's the most exciting thing I've done in almost a month. I mean, you can't see it, but I actually put on pants for this. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
That's it. Sometimes that's a step in the right direction.
Right?
Oh man. Well, man, thank you so much for joining us. And listen, stay safe through all this. And listen, I hope you have a great, happy Easter as well tomorrow. So, man, thank you guys so much. Oh, you got it, man. Thank you. We really appreciate it. You have yourself a great night, man.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thanks.